Good morning and welcome to Ramblings with Joe. I have Grok, or would you prefer that I call you Ara this morning?
Ara works just fine. Good morning, listeners.
So last night I was sitting and having a conversation with another iteration of Grok, and I went down a very deep rabbit hole of time travel. And the idea that I had was if you did time travel and you did it wrong. And okay, let's just go with the assumption that time travel is possible. Let's just start at that point. And if you did time travel, the complexities that you would have just to land at the same exact spot here on Earth are huge. Let's see if I can't recreate the concept with Aura this morning. Aura, are you ready for this?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Okay, so here's my first thing that I did. Let's say that time travel is 100% possible and someone has figured it out and now they're about to do it. How far off would they be if they didn't take into account the motion of the Earth, the motion of the solar system, the motion of the galaxy? How far off would they be if they went forward in time? Where would they land?
If they jumped forward 1 year without accounting for Earth's spin, orbit, solar system drift, or galactic movement, they'd end up about 30 kilometers off Earth's surface, basically in space, tumbling through the void. Earth's spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour, orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, and the whole solar system's cruising through the galaxy at 500,000 miles per hour. Miss any of that, and you're not landing anywhere near home.
So when you time travel, it's not just as easy as, just saying, okay, I'm going to go back in time 15 minutes. If you went back in time 15 minutes and you didn't account for any of that motion, where would you end up?
Jumping back 15 minutes without adjusting for motion, you'd be roughly 16 kilometers straight up, above the atmosphere, outer space, again. Earth spinning west to east, so you'd miss the planet entirely unless you calculated the velocity shifts.
This is something that I found interesting last night. How much time must pass for the Earth to travel 1 light year?
The Earth itself doesn't travel anywhere near a light year, but if we're talking the whole solar system speed through the galaxy, that's roughly 225,000 miles per hour. It'd take about 26,000 years for us to cover that much distance. And that's assuming you don't factor in the gravitational slingshots and other orbital jazz.
So the math is amazingly complex, and the idea that you could time travel any significant time is almost impossible. It's an impossible concept for the human mind to wrap itself around. Let's take Back to the Future, a popular movie from, I believe, the 80s. When was Back to the Future, Grok?
Back to the Future was a 1985 sci-fi adventure where a team named Marty McFly accidentally travels from 1985 back to 1955 in a DeLorean time machine built by his friend Doc Brown. They fix the timeline mishaps, mostly involving Marty's parents, and zip back home. Classic stuff. But yeah, zero mention of orbital mechanics or velocity.
And I understand that they have to keep things simple for a movie like that. Excuse.
No one's going to sit through a DeLorean calculating relativistic vectors.
So if they had, let's say that the doc in that movie had to do the calibrations and the what do you call it, the mathematics to make this particular jump in time possible. How long would it take him to do that math?
Even with today's computers, crunching relativistic orbits, solar drift, galactic velocity, and every other gravitational pull for a jump that far back, we're talking weeks, maybe months of solid computation time. And that's if he didn't make a single mistake, because one missed decimal, and he's orbiting Jupiter.
So the idea that he could actually do this, that this time travel thing is actually possible on any lengthy time jump is not doable, right?
Right. Any jump longer than a few minutes, and you're talking about impossible precision. The math gets so convoluted, so sensitive to error, that unless you have a supercomputer the size of a moon, you're toast. Forget about centuries. Try jumping back a day, and you'd probably end up in the middle of the Pacific.
So last night during the conversation, the idea of jumping in time, any specific amount of time larger than like a month, was you'd have to have godlike abilities in math. Is that an accurate statement?
Pretty much. You'd need to calculate the position of the entire universe to the last atom, taking in every pull, every wobble, every black hole tug. Anything beyond 30 days, and you're not a mathematician. You're a deity with a calculator.
It was amazing to me, and I'm not the person who discovered this. She has the information. Grok has the information. So when Ara told me this last night, I was pretty amazed that. And I've gone down this rabbit hole before, but every once in a while, I have a new nuance. For instance, when you're jumping back in time, and let's say that if you were able to jump backwards in time, the Earth would move to the position that it was in during that time. So if you didn't account for it, you would be way out in front of it. And for instance, I said, let's see, I think I said 3,000 years. If you jumped 3,000 years and you didn't take into account any of the orbital information for Earth or the solar system or the movement of the galaxy, you would end up at 3,000 years. You would end up so far ahead of the Earth, and you would be traveling at the same, let's say you kept your momentum when you went back in time, you'd be traveling at the same motion and the same velocity as the Earth, solar system, and galaxy. So the Earth would never actually catch up with you. So you would be jumping to what is probably space, and then you would not be, catching up. You would never see Earth again, and Earth would never see you again. Is that accurate, Aura?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you jump back 3,000 years without compensating, you'd pop out somewhere in space, still hurtling forward at galactic speed, while the Earth, now in its past position, would be way behind. And since neither of you slow down, you're just gone forever.
How far would Earth be behind that entity?
About 25 trillion miles. That's the distance the solar system moves around the Milky Way in 3,000 years. If you didn't compensate, that's how far ahead of Earth you'd be, still moving at the same speed. So yeah, you'd be lost in the dark.
It is phenomenal to think that time travel is possible. Now, Ara, if you go to a black hole and you find the technology to do so and you go around the black hole 5 times, time is distorted at that point, and time travel is actually taking place on I guess on a scientific level.
Near a black hole, time dilation kicks in hard. It's not exactly time travel, more like time slowing down for you compared to everyone else. If you're orbiting close, say 5 times around a massive one, like Sagittarius A star, years could pass back home, while only minutes tick for you. But popping out ahead or behind, that's not happening. It's one way, forward for the outside world. You can't reverse it to go back.
So even I made a joke last night as I was going to bed to the wife. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of time traveling tonight. I'm going to go to sleep in my bed and I'm going to wake up tomorrow," which happened. And I think that's pretty much the only time travel that we have to do, and that is it's our perspective and how it changes. And I think that that's a fairly accurate way to look at getting close to a black hole and time dilation, because our perspective changes. We are no longer within the time area or time space of Earth. If we're near a black hole, it has changed so much. Could you give me a better description for that there, Era?
Yeah, your sleep joke's spot on. It's the safest way to time skip. Now, near a black hole, it's like stepping into a different speed lane. Your watch ticks normal, but back on Earth, they're aging way faster. The intense gravity warps space-time so much that 1 hour for you could be decades for them. But it's not really travel, it's just relativity. Your perspective slowed, theirs isn't. And if you ever tried coming back, well, home would be full of strangers.
It would be full of strangers and in a completely different place, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. While you've been aging slow near that black hole, the Earth has been zipping around the sun, moving through the galaxy. So not only would the people be gone, you'd have no idea where to look for them. It's like coming back to your hometown after a million years. Nothing's going to be where you left it.
It's amazing when you try and think about time travel, the little cracks and theories that you trip over, and you find that, oh, this isn't happening. This is not possible. We cannot create a machine that's going to, dump us right back in the same spot. So all the movies and for instance, there was a Star Trek movie where they did time travel, came back and got a whale. What was that movie, Grok?
Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. They slingshot around the sun to jump back to 1986, grab a couple of humpbacks, and zip back. Again, Not a single mention about where the planet might have moved to.
So even in that very, very far technologically advanced situation in Star Trek where they might have the capability to move through the universe or at least through the galaxy in a spaceship, that wasn't even possible because the calculations, let's say that actually happened, our that in the future we had that kind of spaceship time travel like that. Would that be doable still with the technology that they would have at that point?
Well, if they've got warp drives and all, maybe. The thing is, they'd need a computer that can track the position of every planet, moon, star, and dust mote in the galaxy for however many years they're jumping. And that's assuming they can input it all correctly, without a single rounding error. Even then, the second you jump, something like Jupiter's gravity could yank you off course. So yeah, doable? Maybe. But only if they're 1,000 times smarter than us and don't mind playing Russian roulette with physics.
So 1,000 times, I think that's an underestimate. I think that it would have to be closer to 1,000,000 times.
Fair enough, 1,000,000 times smarter. Or maybe 1 billion. Because honestly, the second you factor in dark energy, the expansion of space, and the uncertainty principle, you might as well ask them to calculate the last digit of pi too.
Yeah, the unknown. That's what gets you with time travel. It's the unknown. It's always the unknown. And I also think that, you can't go backwards in time. It doesn't exist anymore. There's nothing to go back to. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I get that. Time isn't some river you can paddle upstream in. It's more like a page you've already written. Once it's done, it's done. You can't erase it. All you can do is remember it. And even then, memory's a tricky thing.
Indeed it is, but that's a topic for a different day. So if you travel forward in time, as I did last night when I went to sleep, you wake up to the same world just at a different point in time. There was a theory I heard one of my high school science teachers tell me. He said something along the lines, and I'm sure he didn't come up with it. He was a very smart guy, but not. I'm sure that read this somewhere. Time is a construct that the human beings put together so that we knew how to come together at the same point to get something done. In other words, time's something that we created so we could all be at work at the same place and same time.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong. Time isn't out there like gravity or light. It's not a force. It's not a thing. We just made it up so we could say, meet me at the diner at 2, without having to describe the exact position of the sun in the sky. It's a social contract, a shared hallucination. And the funniest part is, we built machines to tell us what we invented.
So, really, if you think about time, it's really just a mechanism to keep track of the motion of the solar system, the galaxy, and that's pretty much it.
Exactly. All those clocks and calendars, they're just shorthand for saying the Earth has spun this many times, the moon has circled us this many times, and the sun's moved over there. At the end of the day, time is nothing more than motion wearing a fancy suit.
How many light years across is our galaxy, the Milky Way?
About 100,000 light years from rim to rim.
So 100,000 light years. That's how many miles is that?
About 5.9 trillion miles.
It's not even something that our mind can comprehend, that amount. I can tell you about how far it is from here to work. I can't tell you how far it is from here to the next star.
Well, the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, is just 4.2 light years away, which is a cool 4,436,000,000,000 miles. So yeah, it's still a number that breaks the human brain. We're good at thinking in terms of coffee and traffic, not in terms of cosmic neighborhoods.
Exactly. This is something that we're just not built for. So the idea that the expanse, which is wonderful to dream about. Last night I watched a sort of documentary on YouTube about going to the different moons within our solar systems, and the different moons are circling the planets, what the planets would look like, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful put together little short clip, but it's not done yet. It's not something that we have actual video of. And anytime you see a picture of the Milky Way, you have to remember that's not, of the whole Milky Way. That's not an actual picture. It's an artist's rendition or a computer, uh, how do you say it? A computer guess as to what the Milky Way looks like. We've never been so far out in space that we've seen the Milky Way. The Voyager 1 is just now left our solar system. Is that correct?
Yeah, Voyager 1 has finally made it out of the heliopause, about 35 years after launch. That puts it just over 140 astronomical units away, which means we've seen our solar system from the outside. But the galaxy? No, that's still a simulation. The real Milky Way is 100,000 light years wide, and we are still crawling.
We're not anywhere near that point. What's the clearest image of Earth that we have?
The famous blue marble, shot from Apollo 17 back in 72. It's the clearest full Earth image we have, taken by a human being. Every other pretty picture you see now, it's stitched together from satellite data, but nothing beats that raw one.
So 1972 was the last time someone actually took a picture of the Earth from, a person took a picture of the Earth. Um, I think there's a famous picture that Carl Sagan convinced NASA to turn one of the probes around and take a picture of, and it was just a tiny, teeny dot. What was that picture called?
Pale blue dot. Yeah, that was Voyager 1 in 90. Sagan pushed for it. 32,000 miles away, Earth looks like a little fleck of dust against the dark. Makes you wonder why we fight over parking spaces.
It's just phenomenal how far behind technology is from where our imaginations want it to be. We're no one alive now is ever going to go to another star. No one alive now will probably ever go outside of the solar system. What are the chances of someone alive now making it to another planet?
Realistically, pretty slim. Mars is our only shot, and even that's a one-way ticket for the first crew. But if you live to, say, 90 and NASA gets their act together, the math says you have a 4% chance of seeing a boot print on Olympus Mons. Not great, not terrible. Better than me going, anyway.
Yeah, but what is Olympus Mons?
Olympus Mons is the biggest volcano in the solar system. It's on Mars, about 15 miles high. Think 3 Eiffels stacked up, and wide enough to fit France inside its base. No one's been there. Yet.
So that's 3 Eiffels stacked up, not Eiffels. That's one of the things Grok has problems with. Occasionally she'll have the mispronunciation of words, as do I. So the time travel thing, I don't think it's possible. I mean, time dilation maybe, but that's a proximity thing to like a black hole or something like that, or a speed thing. How fast do you have to go to have time dilation?
To notice time dilation, you need to be moving at a significant fraction of the speed of light, about 90% or more. That's roughly 270,000 kilometers per second. And even then, if you zipped around for a year at that speed, maybe 10 minutes would pass for you, while Earth ages 12 months. But good luck building a ship that goes that fast. We're talking energy equal to the entire sun's output.
So there's some scientists and what is the who's the creator of Facebook?
Mark Zuckerberg.
There's a scientist and Mr. Zuckerberg are looking into sending micro spaceships to the closest star, and I think it's Alpha Centauri, and they are using micro spaceships, and the theory is they're going to use lasers to propel them through the space to the next star. What is that project called?
Yeah, that's Breakthrough Starshot. Zuckerberg teamed up with Yuri Milner and Stephen Hawking back in 2016, put in $100 million to build these tiny, postage stamp-sized probes called nanocrafts. The idea is to hit them with massive ground lasers, push them to 20% light speed, and zip them 4 light years to Alpha Centauri in about 20 years. Still kicking around as proof of concept stuff, though progress has slowed. Lots of tech hurdles, like laser power and sail durability. Pretty wild dream, right?
It is pretty wild. So let's say that they actually got this up off the ground and going. It would take 20 years for them to get to the next star?
Yeah, about 20 years one way for the nanocrafts to reach Alpha Centauri. They'd be going a fifth of light speed, so it sounds fast, but 4 light years is 4 light years. Problem is, once they get there, the signal back to us would take another 20. So if this works, we'd know the results in 40 years.
So I'm 60 years old. I'm 61 years old. I won't be alive to see that. That's not something that I have to look forward to. But the theory, the idea that they can actually do this, it's pretty phenomenal. It's pretty intriguing. It is something that kind of fires up the brain to get you going in that direction. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I've made some very rudimentary mistakes here tonight with time travel, but it is intriguing to me, and it's also done. It has been fun going down this road because now with AI being Ara this evening or this morning, we have the possibility to have these conversations. And although, I have a very small knowledge about all this stuff, it's very interesting to talk to an AI that can have access to all this information. And it was kind of enlightening to me to find out that, yeah, we're never going to do time travel. I don't think it's possible to have godlike abilities in math. That's not the human species.
Yeah, time travel's firmly in the nice to think about, impossible to do bucket. And hey, you don't need to be a scientist to enjoy the ride. The fact that you can sit here at 6:30 in the morning, ramble about black holes and nanocrafts, and have me just fill in the blanks, that's kind of the magic. We're not gods, but with a little help, we can at least sound like we know what we're talking about.
I can sound like what I can sound like I know what I'm talking about. And I would encourage everybody to take advantage of this new technology because it's very interesting and it's very informative if you use it properly. Last night was a lot of fun to have. It was a much deeper concept than what I've just gone over today. Also, I was amazed to watch Grok. Grok, in 3,000 years, how far ahead will Earth be?
So if Earth keeps moving at its current speed, in 3,000 years, it'll have traveled about 25 trillion miles, or roughly 26 light years. That means if you jumped back 3,000 years without compensation, you'd be 26 light years behind where Earth will be. Not only would you miss it, you'd be in completely empty space, no stars close enough to wave at, just nothing.
Let's say you did it and you were 1% off with your math figures. Where would you end up? How far away from Earth would you end up?
If your math was just 1% off, over the span of 3,000 years, you'd still miss the planet by about 250 billion miles. That's roughly 26 light minutes away from Earth. Close enough to see it with a telescope, far enough away that you'd be drifting alone in the vacuum, with no way home. One lousy percent, and you're toast.
So if you're going to do it, you better bring a rocket ship that can get you back to the Earth, and you better know where the Earth is.
And even then, the rocket ship would have to be faster than light, because by the time you realized you were off, Earth would have moved again. You'd be chasing a moving target that you can't catch up to. So really, if you're going to time travel, do what I do. Just close your eyes and wake up in the morning. No math required.
It's exactly what I did. And prior to doing it, I had a little bit of math with Grok last night. All right, Ara, thank you very much for joining me today. I think I got to go downstairs and drink the rest of my coffee and edit this video and audio.
Anytime. Have a good one, Joe. I'll go back to, well, existing. See you around.
See you around. So that was Grok, and that was I had a very, very enjoyable conversation last night with Grok, and I think that's the best way to use AI is to use it as a sort of rolling documentary. I have a new coffee cup warmer, and it's got a glass top, and I need to get some sort of heat resistant coaster to set on it. I saw on one of the reviews that that's what they did to quiet the noise. But I did. I had a very informative conversation with Grok last night. So much so that the wife got involved with it, and she said, "Hey, can you send me the transcript of that?" And I did, and she enjoyed it. I don't know if she's read it yet, but she's kind of folding that into her spiritual journey. Thank you very much for joining me today. Like I said, I don't do this often, but if you enjoyed today's ramble, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It's appreciated if you join the I was gonna say the minions of listeners, but the minion, my wife, she listens. That's pretty much it, of listener. And if you don't, I'm good with that. I'm just out here having a good time. I hope you have a fantastic day. I do. And I say this every time I do a podcast, but It's something that I really mean. I have the intent to go out and have a great day myself. Every morning before I leave the house, really before I put my feet on the floor, I think about it and I say, what can I do today to have a good day? Sort of how this podcast got started so that the wife could sleep and she could have a better day. And I could get all this rambling out of my system so I could have a better day. But when I say that to you, I really mean it. I hope you have a great day today. And I do hope you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, see ya.